Well guys, it looks like Verdansk is coming back to Call of Duty, but there's one question I gotta ask you. Who really cares? Well, I care. I care actually a lot about this because myself, and I'm sure many of you also out there have some classic memories you have of Verdansk and how that was like peak Call of Duty Warzone at the time. Oh!
You got him?
Yes! Yes!
Did you get him?
Yes, I sniped him out of the helicopter, dude. But the way Warzone is playing now, it definitely doesn't feel like that. So there's going to be a big discrepancy of how you remember Warzone playing back in Verdansk for how Call of Duty is playing right now. And the top comments here on YouTube definitely reflect a lot of people's sentiment when it comes to Verdansk return, even though the trailer has been reviewed very positively with the like ratios here. But you can see some of the top comments saying, to everyone out there, let's make it clear to Activision, we don't want Verdansk back. We want everything back. The movement, the mechanics, the graphics, the sounds, the vehicles. We want OG Warzone, the game that made us stay up all night. At this point, just open the Warzone 1 servers. The map is not the only thing we loved. We love the mechanics and the simplicity. And that's something I would absolutely have to agree with. I feel like things have just gotten way too out of hand and way too many different mechanics when it comes to the player power ability, as well as things you can unlock and utilize within a single level as well, where it just feels like it's just complete chaos the entire time, and there really doesn't seem like there is any kind of standardized gameplay or like an easy to pick up and play kind of experience like Call of Duty has been known for and perfected for so many years. One thing to take a note of is look at the operators that they're utilizing within this trailer, right? They're all the milsim type operators that we had like at the original Verdansk, because that's definitely been a huge complaint when it comes to Call of Duty, especially with Black Ops 6, because they've been introducing these wild different operators where you look like an anime character, or now you can look like a Ninja Turtle in the game. Like, it just doesn't really feel like it's a game that we grew up with and loved, and it's not the same kind of Warzone that we come to know and love nowadays. And that choice to show the milsim operators is deliberate, because now we see Call of Duty like this, playing against like Red Riding Hood over here, getting shot by unicorn farts for a death animation. I do believe they actually changed this up at the final release of this thing, but like, this is the stuff that Call of Duty's come to. It's become like just like wacky, weird thing that just like doesn't really vibe with what Call of Duty is meant for players to really enjoy. Like, you're getting unicorn farts from Santa Claus over here. Like, what's happening? And although Call of Duty's popularity right now is at the lowest it's ever been since, well, at least it's been released on Steam, as you can see right here, the lowest population right now is at the current time of Call of Duty right now in Steam of 61,000 concurrent players. Still a solid population, but those are not your typical Call of Duty type of numbers, right? Or previously with every other game, even with the most hated Warzone 2 that people just despise completely, as they say online, there was still twice the amount of people generally playing Warzone 2 than the current Warzone experience. And yeah, I know that like this also takes in consideration multiplayer when it comes to player population, but like let's be real, guys. Like, who's playing multiplayer right now in Call of Duty? Because they've completely borked that experience. And we can see right here as well, in the Xbox most played games, like Call of Duty has always been a solid number 2 behind Fortnite. Nah, come on, let's be real, it's because of the Battle Royale. But I see what you're doing there, Activision. You're trying to do this. You're trying to do OG Fortnite to bring back people to play the game again, right? Because you're trying to boost up population and get people excited about the game. Because when Fortnite did this, you had 1.1 million players active within the first 2 hours of it launching. Now, this will definitely get people excited to play Warzone again, but I don't know what the staying power of it might be. Because when you bring back Verdansk, people are thinking about the total package of the experience of when they played Verdansk, which was the less cracked out movement, even though this kind of improved the movement quite a bit from traditional Call of Duty experiences, right? More vehicle play, the gun animations just felt tight and punchy, right? The time to kill felt just right as well, where it's so much more than just bringing back a map to try to capture on nostalgia. Because one of the big innovations Black Ops 6 added in, which I thought was going to be a really cool addition, was the Omni movement system. And I thought it was like, okay, it's a nice little like cherry on top of what we can experience when it comes to playing Call of Duty, like being able to sprint in all different directions. I've always found that we're doing full speed sprint backwards, but hey, it's Call of Duty, I can slide with it, you know, no pun intended. My initial impression was like, okay, you get some little additional outplay potential and things like that, but from the way it's played out, it just feels more like it's really annoying to play against. Like this clip here from this YouTuber Strafe here, I think really showcases what you can do with Omni-Moon, where just when watching this, I'm like, what are we doing here? Like, what are we playing like right now? Like, this isn't the Call of Duty I came to know and love. This is some ridiculously absurd type of movement where it's just like, it's inhuman. This isn't something you would see like a human possibly be able to do, like belly flop from a 2-story building, take no damage, and just kind of just keep moving around like that. Like, there needs to be consequences to that type of movement, right? If you're going to make some huge outplay potential, there needs to be some type of risk reward. And right now, it's all reward with no risk, causing this crazy hyper gameplay experience, which just doesn't really fit, I think, to the casual audience. We saw a similar thing happen with Halo 5 when they added in all that extra movement. It raised the skill floor up so high that your casual player couldn't really keep up with it. Now, there is skill-based matchmaking, which is supposed to help out with that, right? But for the most part, like when I'm playing online, I'm playing against some like pro level stuff. It feels like everyone's complaining about how sweaty Call of Duty feels now because of, well, the movement and the skill-based matchmaking. And same thing we saw with like the animations in the game, right? They felt more fluid and more visceral, right? You actually felt those animations. This is where we started seeing like these reload animation videos started up and popping up in 2019 because of the animations were so well done. You really felt like the gun was reloading. It was a bit flashy, but also tactical at the same time. It wasn't too absurd. Like, watch this M4 type reload. You have like a bit of a slap to the gun. You're like, yeah, let's get into it. And there was a bit of a camera shake. It has like that visceral type of feeling. Like you really felt like you reloaded the weapon. Compare that to nowadays with the M4 comparable weapon here. You just see like it's just a little reload. That's all it is, really. It's not really flashy. Don't really feel like you reloaded it. It was pretty standard, pretty typical reload. Like, it doesn't really stand out and make it feel like you did it, or didn't really feel like it has any characteristic. It just feels like a reload. Any Call of Duty fan remembers this guy, Mark Grigsby, who was the animation director for when Modern Warfare 2019 release, and talked about how there was a bit of a coolness to the reload animations, right? It really felt like that you were like clicking it in and kicking ass, right? And people just loved the way he represented how you do reload animations in the game. Let me show you what I'm talking about.
As far as animation goes, like, we have the usual fire, rechamber afterwards. Then we have a reload where it's pretty visceral. You know, we were going for that real tier 1, you know, this person works and sleeps with this weapon nonstop. Handle it with extreme confidence. Back in the day, we used to have like really floaty and pretty animations. This project, we wanted it more visceral, realistic, constantly in your face, like I'm in the thick of things with these weapons. Whenever you're running around and you see somebody and you lay somebody down with this thing, not only is the animation of the person that got hit with it awesome, and the effects and the sound and all that, but just the way that the gun kicks up and it comes back and then you rack it back again and you're back in action. Even the reload, I mean, you're next. And it turns it over and then just bap, bap. It's so good.
Yeah, I don't think there's any other way to really explain it like how he did. It's just like you want to have like that confidence and just like the pap, pap kind of feeling with the weapons. And we just don't really have that right now with Call of Duty. And I also say the same thing with the visual presentation, where Modern Warfare 2019 had like this much more like grounded sense of realism to it. Like, I felt like these were actual places, even though a lot of people did not like the multiplayer map design, as they tried to break away from that 3-lane map and try to create these different alternate routes where you can pretty much get attacked from any angle. And we've seen that kind of get multiplied more and more with each Call of Duty, right? To kind of even out that skill gap a little bit more. Where the most recent map released in Call of Duty is just a straight line, flat plane on a train, kind of just bullet map. Like, it's such a simplistic, like almost like dumbed down experience of what you can have for Call of Duty. It's almost just kind of like, what are we doing here? Like, are we even playing this game because we actually enjoy it? Or do we just want to have like the most mind-numbing experience possible? And I just feel like we're not really getting like that classic like feel of Call of Duty, like this grounded realism to it, where we're like, yeah, there is like a bit of flair to it. I'm totally okay with that when it comes to Call of Duty, but there needs to be like a sense of like, this could be a place in the world. This place feels lived in. This feels like a actual like war-torn experience kind of thing, where that's just not what we're getting right now with Call of Duty, and a lot of people are feeling that sentiment. So what I'm trying to say here is you can bring Verdansk back to Warzone, but you can't bring Warzone back to Verdansk, because Verdansk was just a special time in gaming. Like, obviously we're all stuck inside because of the pandemic, but also it's just like the total package of what Warzone had to offer and what Verdansk had to offer. It wasn't just the map itself, it was the total package, the entire experience. Now, will I come back to play Verdansk once it launches here on April 3rd? Yeah, I'm gonna play it, right? Like, even though I pretty much dropped completely out of the whole Warzone Call of Duty Battle Royale experience because I feel like the experience just isn't what I want anymore in Call of Duty, I'm definitely coming back to play this because memories, right? Now, is it going to be something that's going to keep me playing, right? Is it going to make me back to being a Call of Duty player? I have my doubts, but I also have my hopes. But guys, if you enjoyed this video, hope I earned your like, maybe even a subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next video. Peace out.